there is a report that apparently Davante Adams is going to be requesting a trade pretty soon to the Jets. I'm going to pull up the tweet. So this is from at MLF Football. I guess, they have a huge following on Twitter, and this started blowing up about 3 hours ago. And this says, report, there will soon be stories that Davante Adams wants out from the Las Vegas Raiders, and that he will want to join the New York Jets and his former quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. And then I guess it's Craig Carton Live. And
yeah, I was going to say, click on that. I'm curious.
So apparently he's got his own show on FS1. But I don't know, he doesn't have any clips, or I didn't necessarily find any tweets where he said it directly.
Go down a little bit. Go down.
This is just Dalvin Cook to the Jets.
Oh, it's Dalvin Cook. Okay.
Yeah, they're talking.
Oh,
he
must be a Jets guy or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
If he's a Jets guy, that's kind of a homer thing to do, Because if I'm being honest with you, this doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it. It's the Aaron Rodgers thing all over again or whatever. But, from what I took from Davante Adams leaving the Packers, it was Davante Adams deciding, I don't want to be on this team too long when I know that Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be here another 2 years, and he was only there another year, and it worked. And I think Davante Adams' biggest thing was that he wanted to be closer to family who live in the Bay Area, or maybe somewhere in California. So him deciding to I want to go to the Jets, I want to go to New York, that makes zero sense to me. As far as for the Raiders, it makes zero sense because I want to say the Jets gave up their first-round pick for next year's draft to get Aaron Rodgers. So what are we going to get, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not anything great. We gave up a first and second for Davante Adams. I want that back if we're going to be trading him, but I don't want to trade him. So, and I don't know. This feels like a non-story to me. This just feels like, a rumor.
What if you could get a guy like Garrett Wilson, or you guys send off? This is just I didn't even think about numbers or anything. You guys send off Josh Jacobs and Davante Adams, and you get Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall.
I would take that, but the Jets would absolutely not. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, Breece Hall's coming off that knee injury, and
but Breece Hall is on a rookie contract still. Josh Jacobs is going through everything he's going through because he's coming off of his rookie contract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Devontae is better than Garrett Wilson. Who knows for how much longer? But
exactly, Garrett Wilson is clearly on the upper, going towards the upper echelon of wide receivers in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So it just doesn't make sense. And then, they paid all that money to the Jets, paid all that money to go get Allen Lazard. They have this first round pick, offensive rookie of the year last year, in Garrett Wilson. I can't place any other receivers on their team, but that's two. That's a number one. That's a number two to me, at wide receiver. I don't get it on any sides. I don't even get it for Davante Adams other than, I want to go back to Aaron Rodgers. But, okay, he has, I want to say 4 more years on his deal, his current deal. Maybe he restructures with the Jets, whatever. But Aaron Rodgers just restructured his deal so that now it's a 2-year deal with the Jets. So, okay, he's going to play for 2 years, not just 1 year. Okay. Suddenly Davante Adams changes his mind about how he feels about all that. I thought he wanted a little bit, I guess. Well, yeah, he wanted security, and then he came to the Raiders, and Derek Carr just got a 3-year deal, but it turns out it was just a 1-year deal. I get if that would upset him. That was his buddy from college. Totally, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It's tough. I don't know where Davante Adams' head is at with everything. Mm-hmm. I know he wants to win, but I also know he wants to be close to family. So I don't see it.
Let me entertain it. Okay. I'm not saying that this is what's going on. I doubt that there would be like, oh, report, we're going to start hearing about this. Like, it's, I, I mean, to be honest, I haven't heard from, I didn't know that guy existed, like the source or whatever. So, I mean, rumors, you can always take it, with a grain of salt.
Mm.
But let's entertain the possibility that Devonte Adams honestly didn't know what Aaron Rodgers was going to do, if he was going to retire, if he was going to leave Green Bay. So obviously he didn't want to, re-sign with Green Bay if he didn't know that Aaron was going to be there. So, I mean, what does he decide to do? He decides to team up with his best friend from college and decides to play for his hometown team. Didn't he grow up a Raider fan?
Yeah.
So, Devonte Adams goes there, and then they get rid of his best friend, and then all of a sudden we've been hearing that Devonte's been unhappy, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't understand the direction that the franchise has taken. So, I've heard that been reported, right? Or at
Mm-hmm.
least been rumored. And now that Garoppolo has passed his physical and everything, and Aaron Rodgers has been it almost seems like revitalized with the Jets a little bit. Who's to say that he isn't like, you know what? I'm kind of cool with my time with the Raiders. Let me go back, or I want to pair up with Aaron before he calls it quits. And it seems like the Jets are trying to make a run at the Super Bowl. Why don't I try to win a Super Bowl with Aaron? That's
Mm-hmm.
just me, like, entertaining this idea. I'm not saying that I believe it. I'm not saying I'm not. I also find it interesting. They asked Davante Adams yesterday what I think it was like what he likes most about Jimmy Garoppolo, and the only thing that he could say was his eagerness to learn. Like Jimmy, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. This is his 10th year in the NFL. What more does he have to learn? Like, he's not like a young rookie or anything. Like maybe he's like relearning McDaniel's system, or he's just trying to learn from a coach that he hasn't had before. But
Mm.
I mean, I'm sure that, Davante Adams, if he was really invested, in Garoppolo or really cared about him, I'm sure he could say something a little bit better than that. That's going to be his starting quarterback this year, or is it? So that to me is just a little bit interesting. And
Mm-hmm.
I always find it funny, like nobody ever compliments Jimmy's like ability to play football all the time. They always talk about like, the intangibles or, the stuff off the field. Like, oh, he's just such a nice person, things like that.
Mm.
The only thing that I've heard people talk about is you mentioned his red zone efficiency, and also people talk about his quick release.
Mm.
So,
Well, I just think if this were ongoing, wouldn't you think that Davante Adams would be holding out right now? Don't you think he might be acting a little different? Because I mean, I watched the press conference last night and he seemed fine as usual. I mean, he's a very great professional, so maybe he's just putting on a little, professional face. I don't know, but he doesn't seem like a guy that's that upset. Like he's got the contract, he's getting paid, he's playing for the team that he grew up loving, and I just I don't know. Going to the Jets doesn't make too much sense to me. I get Rodgers, I get all that, and I would understand if he wanted to go to the Jets. I would for Aaron Rodgers or whatever, but like it just wouldn't make sense for the Raiders. So the only thing that he can do to make it happen is to make them, which is to hold out, right? To make life miserable for them. And he has not done that. So I
mean, that
just
would
don't.
be like if he wanted to take it to like an Antonio Brown extreme, like, oh, I want to be free. I don't see Davante Adams as that type of dude. But, if I'm being honest, I feel like the Raiders finally, ever since Garoppolo passed his physical, you mentioned earlier that they kind of have like a positive momentum going a little bit. Like it seems
Yeah.
like things have really turned around. obviously they've still got the Jacobs thing going on, but you're actually seeing Garoppolo on the field, and I think there's people who are sort of warming up to that idea, and it's not just sort of like a what the hell is this?
Yeah, I think if anything, he's on like day 2 of catching passes from Garoppolo. Like, if he really had an issue with Garoppolo, wouldn't it take a little bit of time for him to be like, oh, I really don't like the way this guy throws the ball. I want out of here. Like I don't know. I think he should just play for the Raiders. I just don't see it.
I mean, it makes the most sense. He signed a contract and he wanted to come here. It's like, okay, play it out. If you didn't agree with the steps that this team was taking, then you should have carefully examined. It was.
Yeah,
it was sort of like
if anything,
Carr's last stand. It wasn't like it wouldn't have been a shock to anybody that like, oh, Carr might get replaced in a couple years. It's like it's the NFL. People's careers don't last forever. The fact that Carr lasted on the Raiders for so long, I mean, it's just like, Carr was good, and I don't think he was like solely the problem. But the quarterback always gets all the blame, like when the team isn't doing good. So
he was on and off. I just think if
did we lose Mike?
Happening,
oh, okay. You cut out for a second.
Okay. I think when the trade was happening, you would think he'd really look into everything. So he would look into Josh McDaniels. He would look into like, okay, what is Derek Carr's contract situation? Yada, yada, yada. Like, wouldn't you think the thing he might have the biggest issue with is the coach's play calling, history? I don't know. My biggest thing is he gets traded to us. He signs the big contract with us, like highest paid receiver at the time, I want to say. Like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me for him to be demanding a trade when he basically said, oh, this is the perfect scenario. I'm close to home. Derek Carr, blah, blah, blah. I get that Derek Carr's not there anymore, but I don't think Jimmy G is a big fall from that tree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Jimmy's your best friend now, okay? Stop thinking about Aaron. That was high school, okay? Yeah, he's moved on.
Aaron is an old man.
Aaron's with Garrett now, okay?
I mean,
you're with Jimmy now. Think about Jimmy.
Yeah. I guess it'd be a similar scenario because Jimmy G shouldn't last past his current contract, which is 3 years. Aaron Rodgers definitely isn't lasting past the 2 years, I don't think. So,
I don't think so.
In 2 or 3 years, I think both the Jets and Raiders will have young, new quarterbacks. So, pick your poison. Do you want to just stay on the contract close to home, blah, blah, blah? Or do you really want to go back for two more years with Rodgers? The only thing that makes it make sense to me, like 31, the only thing that makes sense to me is that the Jets have a very up-and-coming defense, and they really, on paper, look like a team that should get to the playoffs and should win playoff games.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about it for that for me.
Or maybe Adams wants to be on Max, the streaming service for Hard Knocks. Maybe he just wants to be a part of that.
You never know. I doubt it, though.
Yeah. No, I doubt it. But I think, we kind of said what we had to say about Davante Adams. I think he'll probably stay with the Raiders. I don't really give this that much merit. I was willing to entertain that idea, but what do you want to say?
I will guarantee you the next time he has a press conference, I don't know if he'll actually get asked about it because I don't know how big this rumor will get. But if he gets asked about it, he will say something along the lines of like, come on, that's a non-story. Like, seriously, move on, and yeah.
Yeah. So honestly, what this probably is this is a Jets-centric, media thing, media source, the Craig Carton guy. Yeah, Craig Carton.
Yeah.
So he's probably just entertaining an idea to get Jets fans talking. It's gotten us talking.
Mm-hmm. Last thing, The very beginning of the report says there will soon be stories that Davante Adams wants out. You know why there will soon be stories? Because of this fucking tweet right here. So yeah, you just created a whole shitstorm.
Yeah.
That's why there will soon be stories.
And we have added to that shitstorm. So I hope you're happy, Craig Carton, or Carton,
Yeah.
or however the fuck you pronounce it. I hope you're
Anyway.
happy.